Your brain is hiding something from you. Every night when you fall asleep, it activates a secret program, running complex protocols and creating hallucinations you believe are real. Like a stealthy operator working the night shift, your brain transforms your reality while you're unaware. Scientists are still debating why our brains evolved to create these nightly simulations we call dreams. Is your brain preparing you for threats, processing emotions, consolidating memories? Perhaps it's running random neural patterns as part of essential maintenance. Today we're exploring the science behind what's really happening when your conscious mind goes offline and your dream world takes center stage. The deceptive nature of sleep. What if everything you thought you knew about sleep was wrong? Most of us imagine sleep as a passive state, our bodies and minds shutting down for a few hours, like turning off a light switch. We picture our brains going quiet, taking a well-deserved rest after a long day of thinking, processing, and managing our lives. This view seems logical. After all, you close your eyes, consciousness fades, and the next thing you know, it's morning. But this common understanding of sleep contradicts scientific reality. Your brain doesn't power down when you drift off. It transforms into a supercomputer running sophisticated maintenance protocols. Sleep researchers using EEG machines and advanced fMRI imaging have documented an astonishing truth. During certain sleep phases, your brain displays more activity than when you're fully awake. Complex electrical signals, appearing as synchronized waves, sharp spikes, and rapid bursts on monitoring equipment race across different brain regions in coordinated patterns, creating a neural symphony essential for your survival. This creates one of biology's most fascinating paradoxes. While someone sleeping appears peaceful and still, their brain experiences an electrical storm invisible to the naked eye. These aren't random electrical discharges, but precisely orchestrated processes that repeat in cycles lasting roughly 90 minutes. Each cycle progresses through increasingly deeper sleep states before entering the mysterious REM stage where dreams occur. This cycle repeats 4 to 6 times nightly. Your sleeping brain operates like a sophisticated computer system running critical background processes. Unlike optional software updates you might postpone, these nighttime brain protocols are essential for survival. Skip them consistently, and your mental and physical health deteriorates rapidly. Laboratory studies demonstrate that extended sleep deprivation leads to cognitive impairment, hallucinations, and eventually, in animal studies, death. Different brain regions don't sleep simultaneously. Some areas show increased activity while others quiet down depending on the sleep stage. During deep sleep, your prefrontal cortex, responsible for decision-making, shows reduced activity while memory processing regions activate intensely. During REM sleep, your visual cortex becomes highly active while your body experiences temporary paralysis. This contrast between external stillness and internal activity raises profound questions. Why would evolution design a system where we spend 1/3 of our lives vulnerable to predators? The answer lies in sleep's critical functions that cannot occur during wakefulness. Your sleeping brain consolidates memories, integrating new information with existing knowledge. It processes emotional experiences, regulates mood, and clears metabolic waste products from between brain cells, essentially performing neural housekeeping. Your brain may even solve problems during sleep that elude your waking mind. Many scientific breakthroughs throughout history emerge from dreams or moments just after waking. The periodic table, benzene structure, and Paul McCartney's melody for Yesterday reportedly came from sleep-inspired insights. This nighttime activity occurs without conscious control. You can't direct your brain to perform specific maintenance tasks any more than you can consciously regulate your heartbeat. Sleep processes operate automatically in the neural territory that manages biological functions without your awareness. When you fall asleep, your brain transitions through distinct stages with unique neural signatures. The process begins as brain waves slow from alert wakefulness to drowsy N1 sleep, lasting just minutes but showing significant changes in neural activity. Next comes N2 sleep, characterized by sleep spindles, brief high-frequency bursts visible as sudden spikes on EEG recordings, and K-complexes, which appear as dramatic voltage peaks. During this stage, your brain begins sorting through daily experiences, determining what information to preserve. Then comes N3, or deep sleep, dominated by powerful delta waves that sweep across your brain at a frequency of less than 4 Hz. These slow, high-amplitude waves coordinate activity across different regions, enabling physical restoration, growth hormone release, an activation of the lymphatic system that removes toxic proteins. Finally, about 90 minutes after falling asleep, you enter REM sleep where dreaming occurs. Your brain activity resembles wakefulness with fast, desynchronized waves indicating heightened neural firing across multiple regions. Paradoxically, this is when your body experiences profound muscular paralysis, preventing you from acting out dreams. Your brain cycles through these stages throughout the night, with REM periods lengthening toward morning. This explains why you typically remember dreams from just before waking. They occur during the longest, most intense REM periods of your sleep cycle. Now, let's descend into the first level of sleep, where strange things start to happen. Falling into the void, stage N1. Have you ever jerked awake suddenly, feeling like you're falling off a cliff? You're drifting off peacefully when, bam, your body jolts violently, heart racing, instantly alert again. This strange experience happens to nearly 70% of people and marks your first encounter with stage N1 sleep, the mysterious borderland between wakefulness and deeper sleep. The transition from being awake to asleep isn't like flipping a switch. Instead, it's more like slowly wading into an ocean of unconsciousness. Scientists call this transitional phase the hypnagogic state, a liminal zone where your awareness gradually dims but hasn't completely disappeared. During these few precious minutes, your conscious mind begins releasing its grip on reality, creating space for some genuinely weird experiences. As you enter N1 sleep, a profound shift happens in your brain's electrical activity. When you're fully awake, your brain primarily produces alpha waves, regular patterns oscillating at 8 to 13 hertz that indicate relaxed alertness. During the drift into N1 sleep, these alpha waves break down. Slower theta waves take over, oscillating at 4 to 7 hertz. This signals your consciousness beginning to fragment. Your thoughts become less coherent, more dreamlike, and increasingly disconnected from your surroundings. You might notice your thoughts wandering in increasingly strange directions. The logical constraints of waking thought loosen, and ideas connect in ways that might not make sense once you're fully awake again. This cognitive drift shows how differently your brain processes information during sleep compared to wakefulness. The strangest aspects of N1 sleep are the physical sensations and perceptual experiences. About 65% of people experience hypnic jerks, those sudden, involuntary muscle twitches that can jolt you back to wakefulness. Last night, I was just drifting off after a long day when my body suddenly jerked so violently that my partner thought I was having a seizure. My heart pounded as I gasped awake, convinced for a split second I was tumbling downstairs before realizing I was safely in bed. These muscle contractions often come with a falling sensation or feeling like you've missed a step. Your heart rate spikes, your eyes snap open, and momentarily you feel intense alarm before realizing you're safe. Why does this happen? One leading theory suggests hypnic jerks might be an evolutionary holdover from our tree-dwelling ancestors. As your muscles relax during the transition to sleep, your brain sometimes misinterprets this relaxation as falling. It sends a sudden signal to your muscles to brace for impact, triggering the jerk that startles you awake. This protective mechanism might have saved our ancestors from falling out of trees while sleeping. Other people experience floating sensations during N1 sleep, as if their bodies are gently rising off the bed or spinning in space. This likely occurs as your brain's awareness of body position, proprioception, begins to shut down while you're still partially conscious. Without normal sensory input telling you where your limbs are, your brain creates the impression of weightlessness or movement. Even more fascinating are the fragmentary hallucinations many people experience. These aren't full-fledged dreams, but brief sensory impressions, flashes of images, sounds, or sensations with a surreal, disjointed quality. You might see geometric patterns behind closed eyelids, hear someone call your name when no one's there, or feel a phantom tap on your shoulder. These experiences happen because parts of your visual and auditory cortex activate spontaneously as your brain transitions to sleep mode. Time perception also warps significantly during N1 sleep. A few minutes might feel instantaneous or stretch out much longer than they actually last. This distortion occurs because brain regions responsible for tracking time begin functioning differently as sleep takes hold. Your internal clock, reliable during wakefulness, starts skipping beats and losing accuracy. Many sleep researchers compare entering N1 sleep to standing at the threshold of another world. Your normal perceptual filters break down, allowing typically unconscious processes to seep into awareness. The usual rules governing your conscious experience, logical thinking, accurate sensory perception, normal time sense begin to dissolve, preparing you for the completely different mode of brain operation that is sleep. What's particularly interesting about this stage is that you're not fully unconscious yet. Unlike deeper sleep stages where you typically have no awareness of your surroundings, in N1 sleep you often maintain some tenuous connection to the waking world. You might still hear sounds in your environment or be easily awakened by someone saying your name. N1 typically lasts only 1 to 7 minutes in healthy sleepers, just long enough to transition you into more restful sleep stages. However, people with insomnia often spend much more time stuck in this twilight zone, experiencing its strange phenomenon repeatedly throughout the night as they struggle to progress into deeper sleep. Scientists can identify N1 sleep in labs using EEG recordings, which show the characteristic shift from alpha to theta waves. They can also detect subtle changes in heart rate, breathing patterns, and eye movements that signal this transition state. The hypnagogic state reveals something profound about consciousness, that it exists on a spectrum rather than as an all-or-nothing phenomenon. As you drift through N1 sleep, you experience a gradient of awareness, a fascinating intermediate state that challenges our binary notions of being either awake or asleep. But this is just the beginning of your nightly journey into the unknown. The hidden patterns, stage N2. Your brain has a secret language it only speaks when you're asleep. Strange electrical patterns that never occur during wakefulness suddenly appear, creating a neural code that scientists are still working to fully understand. This hidden communication happens during N2 sleep, the second stage of your nightly journey, and is where some of the most important work of sleep begins. As N1 sleep deepens, your consciousness finally breaks its last tenuous connections with the outside world. Your awareness of your surroundings fades completely, and you cross the threshold into true sleep. This is N2, a state where your brain operates under entirely different rules than it does when you're awake. The shift is so dramatic that if scientists showed you an EEG recording from this stage without telling you what it was, you'd never recognize it as human brain activity. What makes N2 sleep instantly recognizable on an EEG are two distinctive patterns that appear nowhere else in human experience: sleep spindles and K complexes. Sleep spindles look exactly like their name suggests, brief bursts of electrical activity that create a spindle-shaped pattern on brain recordings. These sudden accelerations in brainwaves occur when groups of neurons fire in perfect synchrony at 12 to 14 hertz for about half a second to a second and a half. Imagine ripples forming on a calm lake, briefly intensifying, then fading away. That's how sleep spindles appear on brain monitoring equipment. K-complexes are even more dramatic, sudden sharp spikes in electrical activity followed by a slow wave. On an EEG, they look like the letter K, a steep upward peak immediately followed by a downward plunge and then a final upward curve. These striking brain events last only a second or two, but represent massive, coordinated firing across large portions of your cerebral cortex. These brain patterns serve crucial functions. They act as neural bouncers, protecting your sleep by actively blocking external stimuli from reaching your consciousness. When a sound occurs in your bedroom, maybe a car driving by or your partner turning over, sleep spindles suppress the brain's response to these potential disturbances, creating a barrier between your sleeping brain and the waking world. K-complexes serve a complementary purpose. When a stimulus is potentially important, like someone calling your name, the K-complex represents your brain briefly checking the stimulus before dismissing it and maintaining sleep. Think of it as your brain momentarily opening one eye to ensure nothing important is happening before returning to sleep. During N2, your brain begins actively processing information while your awareness. This is when memory consolidation kicks into high gear. Sleep spindles play a critical role in transferring information from your hippocampus, where short-term memories are initially stored, to your neocortex, where long-term memories live. This transforms fragile new memories into more stable, permanent ones. N2 sleep dominates your night, typically accounting for about 50% of your total sleep time, more than deep sleep and REM sleep combined. Each night, your brain dedicates hours to generating these distinctive electrical patterns, suggesting they serve functions essential to your survival and cognitive health. During this seemingly quiet period, your brain is methodically sorting through the day's experiences, strengthening important neural connections while weakening irrelevant ones. This selectivity is crucial. Your brain encounters too much information each day to store everything. N2 sleep is when your brain decides what's worth keeping and what can be discarded, a process neuroscientists call synaptic pruning. Imagine your brain as a garden. During wakefulness, new connections between neurons grow abundantly, like plants sprouting everywhere. During sleep, especially N2, your brain acts as a gardener, strengthening connections that represent important information while pruning away less useful ones. This prevents your neural networks from becoming too cluttered and energy intensive. Research has found fascinating correlations between sleep spindles and cognitive abilities. People who naturally produce more sleep spindles tend to score higher on tests of general intelligence. When researchers teach people new information and then monitor their sleep, those who generate more sleep spindles typically show better recall the next day. Sleep spindles might be particularly important for procedural memory, your ability to learn physical skills. When people learn a new motor task, like playing a musical sequence, their brains produce more sleep spindles that night, especially in the regions involved in the learned task. The more spindles they generate, the better they perform the skill the following day, suggesting these unique brain waves help program new movements into your motor cortex. The strength of emotional reactions influences which memories your brain preserves. Emotionally charged experiences generate stronger responses in the amygdala, signaling to the sleeping brain that these memories are likely important for survival. This is why emotionally significant events typically stay with us longer than mundane ones. Learning-related experiences also receive preferential treatment. Information that builds on existing knowledge or relates to current goals is more likely to be retained. Your sleeping brain essentially asks, is this information useful, and does this connect to what I already know? Memories that pass these tests are more likely to be consolidated during N2 sleep. As you sink deeper, your brain begins something even more strange: the deep descent, slow wave sleep. What happens when your brain goes into its deepest, most mysterious state? After passing through the lighter stages of sleep, you eventually sink into what scientists call slow wave sleep, or N3, the deepest form of non-REM sleep. This is the phase where your brain and body distance themselves furthest from wakefulness, entering a state profoundly different from anything you experience while conscious. The name slow wave sleep comes from the distinctive electrical activity visible on an EEG during this phase. Your brain generates powerful delta waves, large, slow oscillations that sweep across your entire cerebral cortex like rolling thunder. These waves occur at a frequency of less than 4 Hz, with brain cells firing in synchronized patterns just a few times per second, dramatically different from the rapid desynchronized activity of wakefulness. These slow waves represent massive coordination between billions of neurons, all firing together and then pausing together in a rhythmic pattern. This synchronized activity is so powerful that your entire brain essentially pulses in unison, a phenomenon entirely absent during wakefulness or lighter sleep stages. The depth of this sleep creates distinctive effects. Waking someone from slow wave sleep triggers sleep inertia, a state of severe disorientation and confusion lasting several minutes. The person might stare blankly, respond inappropriately to questions, or show significant impairment in thinking. Their brain, deeply disconnected from the external world, struggles to reconfigure for conscious awareness. Children experience particularly intense sleep inertia because their young brains produce stronger delta waves than adults, creating even deeper sleep. Parents sometimes mistake this normal response for something serious when their deeply sleeping child temporarily cannot become fully alert. During this deepest sleep phase, critical physical restoration occurs. Growth hormone secretion peaks, stimulating tissue repair and cell regeneration. Muscles receive increased blood flow, delivering oxygen and nutrients while removing waste products. Energy stores replenish, and enzymes repair cellular damage from daily activities. Slow wave sleep also provides your immune system a significant boost. During deep sleep, your body increases production of cytokines, proteins that fight infection, inflammation, and trauma. This explains why sleep becomes crucial when you're sick or injured. Your immune system leverages these slow wave periods for maximum efficiency. In 2012, researchers discovered perhaps the most remarkable aspect of slow wave sleep, the glymphatic system. This previously unknown network functions as your brain's dedicated cleaning crew. While somewhat active during wakefulness, it transforms into a full-scale maintenance operation during deep sleep. During slow wave sleep, the space between brain cells expands by up to 60%. This expansion allows cerebrospinal fluid to flow more freely through brain tissue, essentially power washing it clean of metabolic waste. The glymphatic system operates like an overnight cleaning service, removing debris that would otherwise accumulate and potentially damage neurons. One crucial waste product this system removes is beta amyloid, a protein fragment that accumulates in Alzheimer's disease. Even one night of poor sleep leads to measurable increases in beta amyloid, while quality sleep reduces these levels. This establishes a direct connection between sleep quality and your brain's defense against neurodegenerative diseases. The glymphatic system has revolutionized our understanding of sleep's purpose. Beyond memory and emotional processing, sleep physically cleans your brain at the cellular level. Without adequate slow-wave sleep, waste accumulates between neurons, potentially contributing to cognitive decline and increasing disease risk. This cleaning process requires so much energy that it cannot efficiently occur during wakefulness. Your brain must temporarily suspend conscious activities to redirect resources to this maintenance. It resembles a restaurant closing between meal services for cleaning. Some operations simply cannot happen efficiently during normal operation. While cerebrospinal fluid washes away waste, other mechanisms simultaneously repair DNA damage in neurons, restore cellular components, and strengthen important neural connections. Together, these processes form a comprehensive maintenance system keeping your brain healthy. Slow-wave sleep diminishes as we age. Children spend significantly more time in this deep sleep stage than adults. By our 70s, some people produce almost no delta waves. This reduction helps explain why older adults experience more fragmented sleep and face higher cognitive decline risk. Without sufficient slow-wave sleep, their brains cannot fully activate the glymphatic system's clearing function. Researchers now investigate ways to enhance slow-wave sleep in older adults, potentially preventing or slowing neurodegenerative diseases. Approaches include acoustic stimulation with specific synchronizing sounds, electrical stimulation, and medications targeting deep sleep. Most healthy adults spend about 13 to 23% of their sleep time in slow-wave sleep, with the deepest periods occurring during the first half of the night. This makes the first few hours of sleep especially important for physical restoration and brain health. Consistently cutting sleep short primarily sacrifices these crucial deep sleep periods. While delta waves dominate this phase, your brain also produces compounds that help regulate sleep depth. Adenosine, which builds up during wakefulness, creating sleep pressure, peaks during slow-wave sleep before gradually clearing, ensuring your most restorative sleep happens when your body needs it most. The paradox of REM sleep, but the strangest part of sleep is yet to come. Imagine being completely paralyzed while your brain runs wild. Your consciousness slips into a vivid, often bizarre reality where you can fly over mountains, have conversations with long-dead relatives, or find yourself naked in a crowded room. Meanwhile, your body lies perfectly still, almost every muscle temporarily shut down by powerful inhibitory signals from your brainstem. This strange combination of mental activity and physical immobility defines REM sleep, the most paradoxical stage of your nightly journey. REM stands for rapid eye movement, named for the distinctive darting of the eyes that occurs during this phase. After cycling through the deeper stages of non-REM sleep, your brain makes a dramatic shift about 90 minutes after you fall asleep. Instead of the synchronized slow waves of deep sleep, your brain activity suddenly becomes fast, chaotic, and remarkably similar to wakefulness. An EEG during REM sleep shows low-amplitude, high-frequency waves that look almost identical to those recorded when you're fully conscious. This creates a fascinating contradiction. Your brain is electrically wide awake. Neurons fire rapidly across your cerebral cortex, consuming nearly as much oxygen and glucose as during conscious activities. Your heart rate increases, breathing becomes irregular, and brain temperature rises. Blood flow to your brain increases significantly, particularly the regions involved in emotion, visual processing, and movement. Yet this wakeful brain activity happens while you remain deeply unconscious. REM sleep completely disconnects you from your environment. Your heart is awake during REM and during lighter sleep stages, even though your brain is buzzing with activity. Your brain operates simultaneously with intense activity while completely disconnected from external reality, like a movie projector running at full power inside a sealed theater. As your brain activity accelerates, a remarkable safety mechanism activates. Your brainstem sends signals that temporarily paralyze nearly all your voluntary muscles. This condition, called REM atonia, leaves you unable to move anything except your eyes and breathing muscles. From your neck down, your body becomes effectively paralyzed. This paralysis serves a critical purpose. During REM sleep, When most vivid dreaming occurs, your motor cortex activates as if you were performing the actions in your dreams. When you dream about running from danger, the movement centers of your brain generate the same signals they would during actual running. REM atonia prevents you from physically acting out these movements, protecting you and your bed partners. What happens when this paralysis system malfunctions? A condition called REM sleep behavior disorder, RBD, provides a striking demonstration. People with RBD lack normal muscle inhibition during REM sleep, allowing them to physically act out their dreams. They might punch, kick, jump out of bed, or run across the room while still asleep, often resulting in injuries. RBD often appears years before certain neurodegenerative diseases, particularly Parkinson's disease and Lewy body dementia. About 80 to 90% of people diagnosed with RBD eventually develop one of these conditions, making it an important early warning sign for neurologists. While your body remains still during REM sleep, your eyes engage in their characteristic rapid movements beneath your closed eyelids. These coordinated movements often correspond to the visual scene unfolding in your dreams. If you're dreaming about watching a tennis match, your eyes might move back and forth as if tracking the ball. These movements may help the brain generate and maintain the visual imagery of dreams, potentially explaining why REM dreams tend to be more visually vivid. The evolution of REM sleep presents another fascinating puzzle. All land mammals and birds experience some form of REM sleep, suggesting it emerged at least 300 million years ago. Yet the amount varies dramatically. Humans spend about 25% of their sleep in REM, while some birds manage with just 30 seconds at a time. Newborn humans spend up to 50% of their sleep in REM, suggesting this stage plays a critical role in brain development. REM sleep also differs in its effects on body temperature. During non-REM sleep, your temperature regulation works normally. During REM, however, this regulation temporarily shuts down. Your body essentially becomes cold-blooded, with your temperature drifting toward room temperature. This is why adequate blankets are important. Without them, REM sleep can be disrupted when your body cools too much. The brainstem creates this temporary paralysis through a two-part mechanism. Neurons in the pons activate, sending signals to the medulla, which then sends inhibitory signals down your spinal cord, blocking the motor neurons that would otherwise allow muscle movement. This inhibition specifically targets voluntary muscles while leaving critical involuntary functions like breathing and heartbeat active. This selective activation allows your brain to process information, consolidate memories, and regulate emotions without triggering physical movements that would disrupt sleep or cause injury. Like a high-tech virtual reality system, your brain creates an immersive inner experience while keeping your body safely offline. This strange state sets the stage for perhaps the most mysterious phenomenon of all, dreaming. While dreams can occur during any sleep stage, the most vivid, emotionally intense, and story-like dreams happen during REM sleep, when your brain creates entire worlds and scenarios that feel as real as waking life. The Dream Factory. Your brain creates entire worlds while you sleep. But why? Dreams represent one of the most universal human experiences. Every night, billions of people across the planet experience vivid hallucinations that feel completely real while they're happening. You've likely experienced flying without wings, conversations with people who aren't actually there, or finding yourself back in elementary school without pants. These experiences can feel emotionally intense and meaningful, yet they vanish like smoke upon waking, leaving only fragments behind. This universal phenomenon raises a fascinating evolutionary question. Dreaming is energetically expensive. Your brain during REM sleep consumes almost as much glucose and oxygen as when you're solving complex problems while awake. This high metabolic cost suggests dreams must serve some important function. Natural selection tends to eliminate energy-intensive processes that don't provide survival benefits. So why would our brains evolve to create these elaborate hallucinations night after night? What makes this question even more intriguing is how dreams manipulate our perception of time. Dream experiences that feel like they last for hours actually occur in brief bursts of just minutes or seconds. In sleep laboratories, researchers track when REM periods begin and end with precise timing. When they wake participants and ask about their dreams, they find a striking mismatch. A complex narrative unfolding over many hours in the dreamer's mind might have occurred during just 5 minutes of REM sleep. This time, compression happens because your dreaming brain processes information differently than your waking brain. When awake, your perception of time involves multiple brain regions working together, integrating sensory input with internal timekeeping systems. During dreams, these systems function independently of external reality, creating a subjective experience where time stretches, compresses, or loops back on itself. To create dreamscapes, your brain activates several key regions while suppressing others. Your visual cortex becomes highly active during REM sleep, explaining why dreams feel so visually immersive. Brain scans show activation patterns in visual processing areas that closely resemble what happens when you're actually seeing things while awake. Meanwhile, emotional centers like the amygdala and limbic system show heightened activity, generating authentic emotional responses, the terror of being chased, the grief of losing someone, or the joy of flying. Your memory systems activate selectively during dreams, pulling fragments from different experiences and combining them in new ways. The hippocampus communicates actively with the cortex during REM sleep, potentially helping integrate new experiences with existing knowledge. This interaction might explain why you might find yourself walking through your childhood home, but the doors open to your current workplace, or having a conversation with a friend who suddenly transforms into a family member. While these systems ramp up activity, one critical area powers down significantly: your prefrontal cortex. This brain region handles executive functions like logical reasoning, critical thinking, and self-awareness. During REM sleep, blood flow and activity in the prefrontal cortex drop substantially, especially in areas responsible for rational thought and working memory. This prefrontal deactivation explains the bizarre, illogical aspects of dreams. Without your brain's logic center fully online, you accept impossible scenarios without question. The reduced prefrontal activity also explains your limited self-awareness during most dreams. You rarely recognize you're dreaming while it's happening. Your identity and memories remain partially accessible but aren't subjected to the same logical scrutiny they receive during wakefulness. This unique pattern of brain activation, visual and emotional systems on high alert while rational thinking systems remain dimmed, creates perfect conditions for generating experiences that feel real yet follow none of the rules that govern waking reality. Your brain constructs a simulation using fragments of memories, current concerns, and random neural firing, all stitched together without the oversight of logical reasoning systems. Your brain compresses time during dreams by activating visual and emotional centers while deactivating logical reasoning. Without the prefrontal cortex's time-tracking functions fully online, your perception of duration becomes untethered from actual elapsed time. Dreams often skip transitional periods and focus only on emotionally significant moments, similar to how movies cut between scenes rather than showing characters performing every mundane action. The dream state also alters how memories form. When awake, your experience of time partly depends on how many new memories you form. Action-packed, novel experiences seem to last longer because you create more memory landmarks. During dreams, your brain generates an abundance of novel experiences without the usual constraints of physical reality, creating the illusion of extended time. Scientists can watch this dream world creation happen in real time using specialized brain imaging techniques. They can see how different brain regions activate and communicate, creating the neural signature of dreaming. Some researchers have even begun to decode the content of dreams by analyzing these patterns, matching specific neural activities to reported dream content when subjects are awakened. But the bigger question remains, why would our brains evolve to create these vivid hallucinations at all? What survival advantage could possibly come from constructing elaborate dream scenarios night after night? This question has generated several competing scientific theories, each suggesting different functions for dreams. Threat simulation theory. What if your nightmares are actually keeping you alive? That recurring dream where you're being chased by something terrifying might serve a purpose far beyond tormenting your sleep. According to some scientists, these frightening dreamscapes could be crucial evolutionary tools that have helped humans survive for thousands of years. Finnish neuroscientist Antti Revonsuo proposed a fascinating theory in the late 1990s that dramatically changed how researchers think about dreams. He called it the threat simulation theory, suggesting that dreams evolved as a survival mechanism. The theory frames dreaming as nature's training program. Your brain creates a virtual reality simulator where you can safely practice responding to dangerous situations without actual physical risk. This evolutionary adaptation works much like flight simulators for pilots. Your dreaming brain generates threatening scenarios, being chased by predators, falling from cliffs, confronting aggressive strangers, allowing you to rehearse survival responses. By practicing during sleep, your brain potentially improves your reaction if similar dangers occur in waking life. The evidence supporting this theory is compelling. Ray Von Zuo's team analyzed thousands of dream reports and discovered threatening situations appear in dreams far more frequently than in daily life. Studies show approximately 70 to 80% of dreams contain negative elements, with direct threats appearing in roughly 40% of all dreams. Consider how often you experience dreams of being pursued through dark alleys or finding yourself dangerously exposed on a crumbling ledge. These scenarios rarely happen in modern life, yet populate our dreamscapes regularly. This mismatch between our relatively safe modern existence and our danger-filled dreams suggests dreams might be responding to ancestral pressures rather than current ones. For our early human ancestors living among predators and environmental dangers, this mental rehearsal could have provided a significant survival advantage. The emotional intensity experienced during threatening dreams appears crucial to their effectiveness. When you dream about being attacked, your heart races, stress hormones surge, and your brain activates the same fear circuits that fire during actual danger. This emotional activation helps encode survival relevant information more deeply, forming stronger neural pathways for appropriate reactions. Evidence for this training function appears in how brains respond to trauma. Combat veterans or accident survivors often develop recurring nightmares replaying elements of their traumatic experiences. While distressing, these dreams may serve an adaptive purpose, processing the event repeatedly until the brain develops appropriate response patterns. Children's dreams offer another window into this theory. Studies consistently show children experience more nightmares than adults. Between ages 3 to 8, upwards of 70% of children report regular nightmares involving monsters, pursuits, or other dangerous scenarios. This makes evolutionary sense. Children have less real-world experience with dangers and therefore benefit more from simulated practice. Those monster-under-the-bed dreams might actually help developing brains prepare for potential threats. Brain activity during nightmares supports this theory. During frightening dreams, your amygdala, the brain's fear center, shows high activity while your prefrontal cortex, responsible for rational thinking, shows reduced activity. This creates perfect conditions for emotional learning about dangers, genuine fear responses without rational interruption. The theory might also explain why certain dream themes appear consistently across cultures and throughout history. Dreams of being chased, falling, being unprepared for tests, or appearing naked in public show remarkable consistency across different populations. These universal patterns might reflect shared evolutionary pressures that shaped our dreaming brain. Critics note that many dreams feature social embarrassment rather than physical threats. Supporters respond that for highly social humans, social threats could be equally relevant to survival. Being rejected by your group or failing at important tasks could have been legitimately dangerous for our ancestors, potentially leading to isolation from protection, resources, and mating opportunities. Recent laboratory research provides further support. Participants learning to navigate virtual mazes containing threatening elements showed significantly improved performance after sleeping compared to those who remained awake. Brain scans revealed that during REM sleep, the same neural circuits activated during the maze task reactivated, suggesting the brain practiced the threatening scenario during dreams. Even REM sleep's distinctive brain chemistry supports this hypothesis. During REM, your brain floods with stress-related neurochemicals while simultaneously suppressing physical stress responses. This unique state allows your brain to process threatening information with emotional intensity, but without physical wear and tear, running a threat simulation with safety protocols engaged. If correct, this theory suggests dreaming isn't a random byproduct of sleep, but a sophisticated adaptation that has helped our species survive through countless generations. Your nightmares might be your brain's way of keeping you alive by preparing you for worst-case scenarios. But this isn't the only theory competing to explain why we dream. Memory consolidation in dreams. Your sleeping brain is secretly sorting through your memories, deciding what to keep and what to throw away. While you drift through dreamland, a remarkable process unfolds as your brain methodically reviews the day's experiences, strengthening some connections while weakening others. This process, known as memory consolidation, may actually be what dreams are all about. The memory consolidation theory of dreaming suggests that dreams aren't actually meant to be meaningful experiences in themselves. Instead, they might be a side effect, the visible manifestation of your brain's nighttime filing system at work. Think of it like a meticulous librarian reorganizing a chaotic archive. Behind the scenes, they're sorting books, discarding outdated materials and creating new categorical systems, while you only see the shadows of this activity cast upon the wall. The shadows weren't created to tell a story. They're just visible evidence of the real work happening out of sight. This theory proposes that your dreams could be the conscious experience of watching your brain sort through memories. As neural networks strengthen some connections and prune others, your conscious mind catches glimpses of this activity in the form of dreams. The random, fragmented, and often bizarre nature of dreams makes sense when viewed this way. They're reflections of memory networks being activated and reorganized rather than coherent narratives. Multiple studies have demonstrated a clear link between sleep, dreams, and improved learning. In one famous experiment, researchers taught participants to navigate a virtual maze. Those who slept after learning and reported dreaming about the maze showed a 10-fold improvement in their performance the next day compared to those who didn't dream about it. Another study found that people who were allowed to enter REM sleep after learning a new skill performed significantly better than those whose REM sleep was disrupted, suggesting this dream-filled stage plays a crucial role in memory processing. As you sleep, your hippocampus, a seahorse-shaped structure crucial for forming new memories, begins a process neuroscientists call replay. It replays neural patterns associated with your day's experiences, but at a much faster rate than they originally occurred. This high-speed replay helps transfer information from temporary storage in the hippocampus to more permanent storage in the cortex. When researchers record from individual neurons in sleeping rats who had run through mazes earlier, they can actually see these cells fire in the same sequence as during the maze running, but compressed in time, playing back an entire experience in just a fraction of a second. Emotional memories receive special treatment during this process. Your brain prioritizes experiences with strong emotional components, giving them extra attention during sleep. This explains why we often dream about emotionally charged events from our day. If you had an argument, received great news, or felt anxious about an upcoming presentation, these emotionally significant events are more likely to appear in your dreams. The amygdala, your brain's emotional processing center, shows increased activity during REM sleep, suggesting your brain is specifically processing the emotional aspects of memories during this time. Beyond basic memory consolidation, this theory explains the creative problem-solving aspect of dreams. Many scientists and artists throughout history have reported making breakthroughs through dreams. Chemist Dmitri Mendeleev conceived a periodic table in a dream after struggling with how to organize the elements. Mathematician Srinivasa Ramanujan claimed mathematical formulas came to him in dreams. The memory consolidation theory suggests this isn't mystical inspiration, but your brain continuing to work on problems during sleep, making connections between existing knowledge and new information without the constraints of conscious thought. The sleeping brain excels at identifying patterns and making creative connections that might not be obvious during wakefulness. Without the logical filters of the conscious mind, your brain can try unusual combinations of ideas. Most of these random connections are useless, but occasionally, this process discovers valuable insights that survive in the wakefulness. If dreams are indeed the visible side effect of memory processing, this explains one of the most puzzling aspects of dreaming, why we forget approximately 95% of our dreams within minutes of waking. Dreams themselves aren't meant to be remembered. They're the brain's work in progress as it sorts through information. The real purpose, consolidating important memories, has already been accomplished whether you remember the dream or not. The neurochemical environment during REM sleep differs dramatically from wakefulness, with changes in acetylcholine and norepinephrine levels that inhibit the formation of new memories. It's as if your brain deliberately creates conditions where you're unlikely to remember dreams, suggesting they're meant to be temporary experiences rather than lasting memories. Brain imaging studies show that during REM sleep, the hippocampus communicates intensely with the cortex, but shows reduced communication with areas needed to form new conscious memories of the dream itself. This communication pattern supports the idea that dreams help transfer and integrate existing memories rather than create new ones. This memory-focused view of dreaming represents one of the most scientifically supported theories in modern sleep research. But it's not the only explanation scientists have proposed for why our sleeping brains create these nightly narratives. There's one more random theory that takes a completely different approach to explaining dreams. Are just beautiful nonsense? A colorful, bizarre side effect of your brain performing routine maintenance while you sleep. This idea forms the core of one of the most provocative theories about dreams in neuroscience, a theory suggesting those vivid nighttime experiences might not have any deeper meaning at all. In 1977, Harvard psychiatrists Alan Hobson and Robert McCarley proposed the activation synthesis hypothesis. Their theory challenged centuries of thinking about dreams as meaningful messages from the unconscious. Instead, they suggested something much more mechanical was happening. Dreams might simply be your brain's best attempt to make sense of random neural activity occurring during sleep. During REM sleep, your brainstem, particularly the pons, generates spontaneous electrical signals that fire upward into various brain regions, activating circuits in your visual cortex, motor areas, and emotion centers without organized purpose. Your higher brain, confronted with this chaos, creates a story to interpret these signals, the dream narrative you experience. Picture your sleeping brain as an artist giving random splashes of paint on a canvas. The paint itself carries no meaning, but the artist instinctively crafts an image from the random patterns. Similarly, your cortex weaves the electrical static from your brainstem into a story, despite the signals having no inherent meaning. This theory elegantly explains dreams' peculiar characteristics. Dreams jump between scenes, contain impossible events, and combine unrelated elements of your life in ways that defy logic. These qualities make perfect sense if dreams are your brain crafting coherence from fundamentally random signals. The storyline shifts because the underlying neural activation lacks consistent pattern or purpose. The activation synthesis theory also accounts for how external stimuli get incorporated into dreams. Your alarm sound and suddenly a ringing phone appears in your dream. Your bladder feels full and you dream of searching for a bathroom. These occurrences happen because your sleeping brain detects real-world inputs and incorporates them into the ongoing dream narrative rather than immediately waking you. The theory particularly illuminates the surreal quality characterizing many dreams. Hobson and McCarley noted striking similarities between dreams and psychedelic experiences. Both feature visual hallucinations, emotional intensification, impossible events, and disrupted logical thinking. This parallel stems from similar neurochemical environments. Dreams involve elevated acetylcholine, while norepinephrine and serotonin levels drop. Psychedelics affect similar systems through different mechanisms. Since its original proposal, the activation synthesis theory has evolved. Hobson expanded it into the AIM model: activation, input-output gating, modulation, accounting for additional aspects of sleep consciousness. Modern versions recognize that brainstem activation isn't completely random. Emotional concerns and recent experiences can influence patterns within the apparent chaos. Critics argue the theory doesn't fully explain why dreams feature emotionally significant elements from our waking lives. Supporters respond that brain regions weaving these signals into narratives are influenced by emotional importance, which explains why dreams incorporate our fears, desires, and recent experiences despite their random foundation. Lucid dreams, where you become aware you're dreaming and sometimes control the narrative, occur when parts of your prefrontal cortex temporarily reactivate during REM sleep. This allows conscious awareness within the dream state, confirmed by brain imaging studies showing increased frontal brain region activity during lucid dreaming. Brain imaging provides compelling evidence for this theory. REM sleep involves intense activity in visual, emotional, and movement areas coupled with reduced activity in the prefrontal cortex responsible for logical thinking. This explains dreams' visual vividness and emotional intensity despite their logical inconsistencies. Remarkably, certain brain regions show higher activity during REM sleep than wakefulness. PET scans reveal the amygdala, which processes emotions, can be 30% more active during REM sleep than waking states. Meanwhile, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, crucial for critical thinking, shows significantly reduced activity, explaining why we accept dream logic without question. This activation pattern creates perfect conditions for experiences that feel real and emotionally significant while defying reality's rules. Your visual cortex creates imagery, your amygdala generates emotions, and your motor cortex plans movements, all while brain regions that would normally identify impossibilities remain quiet. If this theory is correct, dreams aren't unconscious messages or survival practice. They're an accidental side effect of sleep, the brain making sense of its own maintenance operations. Yet even as meaningless neural noise, dreams reveal our brain's remarkable capacity to create stories from chaos, finding patterns where none exist. But what happens when the systems controlling these dream states malfunction? When the boundaries between REM sleep and wakefulness begin to blur, the result can be experiences far more disturbing than any nightmare. When dream systems malfunction, Imagine waking up but being unable to move while shadowy figures approach your bed. Your mind is fully alert, your eyes can scan the room, but your body remains frozen as if weighted down by something impossibly heavy. You try to scream, but your voice doesn't work. And worst of all, you sense a presence in the room with you, something watching, waiting, or slowly moving towards you. This terrifying experience isn't a nightmare. It's sleep paralysis, one of the most disturbing malfunctions of our normal sleep dream systems. When we study sleep disorders, we're essentially looking at what happens when the complex machinery of sleep breaks down. These glitches in the sleep system provide remarkable insights into how our brains normally function during the night. They reveal the moving parts behind our nightly journey through different sleep stages. Sleep paralysis stands out as particularly disturbing because it represents a state where the boundary between REM sleep and wakefulness partially breaks down. Normally, the transition between sleep stages occurs seamlessly, with each state remaining separate from the others. But during sleep paralysis, your brain creates a hybrid state where aspects of REM sleep and wakefulness exist simultaneously. During normal REM sleep, your brain paralyzes your body to prevent you from acting out your dreams. This muscle atonia is a critical safety feature. But sometimes when you're waking up from REM sleep, the paralysis persists even as your conscious awareness returns. Your mind wakes up, but your body remains locked in REM's paralysis. This disconnection creates the perfect conditions for terror. You're conscious but unable to move or call for help. Your breathing feels restricted because the paralysis affects some of your respiratory muscles. Many people experience vivid hallucinations during these episodes, sensing a malevolent presence, seeing shadowy figures, feeling pressure on their chest, or experiencing the sensation of being touched by invisible forces. Throughout history, different cultures have developed explanations for this phenomenon. In medieval Europe, sleep paralysis was attributed to attacks by demons, while in Japan, people speak of kaneshibari, a state of being bound by invisible metal. Despite varied cultural interpretations, the core experience remains consistent, suggesting a common neurological basis. Modern neuroscience explains that during sleep paralysis, your brain partially wakes from REM sleep while your body remains paralyzed. Your amygdala becomes highly active, generating intense fear, while your visual and auditory processing centers create hallucinations that your conscious mind perceives as real. Sleep disorders represent various ways the sleep-wake boundary can malfunction. REM sleep behavior disorder, RBD, presents the opposite problem of sleep paralysis. In RBD, the paralysis that should occur during REM sleep fails, allowing people to physically act out their dreams. Individuals might punch, kick, or jump out of bed while completely asleep, risking injury to themselves and others. RBD has significant medical implications, showing a strong association with neurodegenerative diseases. About 80 to 90% of people diagnosed with RBD eventually develop Parkinson's disease or related conditions, often years later. This connection suggests that the neural systems controlling REM sleep paralysis are among the first affected by these diseases, making RBD a valuable early warning sign. Narcolepsy represents another malfunction in the sleep-wake boundary. People with narcolepsy experience sudden, uncontrollable sleep attacks during the day. Many also experience cataplexy, sudden loss of muscle tone triggered by strong emotions, especially laughter. This symptom brings elements of REM sleep paralysis into wakefulness. Most narcolepsy cases stem from the loss of brain cells that produce hypocretin, a neurotransmitter that helps maintain wakefulness and regulates REM sleep. Night terrors occur during non-REM sleep, usually during the first third of the night. Unlike nightmares, which happen during REM sleep and are often remembered, night terrors occur in deep sleep. The person may sit up, scream, appear terrified, and show physical signs of intense fear like racing heart rate and rapid breathing. Yet they typically remain unresponsive to comfort and have no memory of the episode the next morning. Night terrors are most common in children and usually disappear by adolescents. Studying these disorders has revolutionized our understanding of normal sleep function. They've helped scientists identify the specific brain circuits controlling different aspects of sleep, from muscle paralysis to dream generation. By observing what happens when these systems malfunction, researchers better understand their normal operation, similar to how engineers learn about a machine by seeing what happens when specific components fail. These disorders highlight how sleep involves a complex interplay of various subsystems that can become uncoupled from each other. REM sleep alone involves multiple components that normally occur together but can separate when the system malfunctions. Most significantly, sleep disorders reveal the importance of maintaining proper boundaries between different states of consciousness. When the walls between wakefulness, REM sleep, and deep sleep break down, the results can be profoundly disturbing. This suggests that the strict separation of these states serves an essential function in our psychological well-being, and that properly functioning dream systems are an essential component of human health. The dream-deprived brain. What happens when humans can't dream? This question isn't just theoretical. It reveals something profound about why we need sleep in the first place. Scientists have developed clever experiments to find out, selectively waking people whenever they enter REM sleep, while allowing other sleep stages to continue normally. The results are unsettling. After just a few nights of REM sleep deprivation, research subjects begin showing clear signs of psychological distress. They become irritable and anxious, with difficulty concentrating on simple tasks. Their frustration threshold drops dramatically, and many report increased hunger and food cravings, particularly for carbohydrates. Most concerning, some begin experiencing hallucinations while awake, seeing movements in their peripheral vision or hearing sounds that aren't there. When repeatedly prevented from entering REM sleep, your brain becomes increasingly determined to get there. Each time you fall asleep, you'll attempt to enter REM sleep more quickly than normal. If allowed to sleep without interruption after several nights of REM deprivation, you'll experience REM rebound, spending a much higher percentage of sleep time in REM as your brain tries to recover missed dream time. This powerful drive suggests dreaming is essential for proper brain function. Your brain prioritizes dreaming highly, altering its normal sleep patterns to ensure it happens, even after just one night of disruption. This compensatory mechanism points to dream sleep fulfilling a biological need as fundamental as food or water. The connection between REM sleep and mental health becomes more evident when examining certain psychiatric medications. Many antidepressants, particularly SSRIs, significantly suppress REM sleep. Patients taking these medications often spend 50 to 70% less time in REM sleep than normal, yet they generally don't experience the negative effects seen in laboratory REM deprivation studies. This apparent contradiction has led to fascinating hypotheses about dream function. Some researchers suggest the emotional processing that normally occurs during REM dreams happens through different mechanisms in people taking these medications. Others propose that certain types of depression might involve excessive REM sleep with too much negative dream content, making REM suppression potentially therapeutic. Perhaps the most disturbing window into dream deprivation comes from an extremely rare condition called fatal familial insomnia, FFI. This genetic disorder progressively destroys the thalamus, a brain region crucial for sleep regulation. Patients initially develop mild insomnia that worsens until they become completely unable to sleep. As the disease advances, patients experience increasing hallucinations, motor problems, rapid weight loss, and severe autonomic dysfunction. Their cognitive abilities deteriorate rapidly. Eventually, typically within 12 to 18 months of symptom onset, the patient dies. Beyond these extreme cases, even mild REM sleep disruption affects cognitive abilities. Laboratory studies show that people deprived of REM sleep perform worse on tests requiring creative problem-solving and emotional intelligence. While they can handle straightforward logical tasks, anything requiring mental flexibility or emotional processing becomes significantly more difficult. Their ability to recognize subtle emotional expressions diminishes, potentially impairing social interactions. The impact on emotional regulation appears particularly significant. Without adequate REM sleep, the brain's ability to process emotional experiences becomes compromised. This explains why people with disrupted REM sleep often report feeling emotionally raw, with emotions feeling more intense and harder to regulate. The normal overnight reduction in emotional reactivity, where yesterday's upsets seem less bothersome today, doesn't happen properly without dream sleep. Creativity also suffers without REM sleep. A composer I interviewed described how, during a period of severe insomnia that disrupted his REM cycles, he experienced complete creative blockage. "I'd sit at the piano for hours, but nothing would come," he explained. The connections between musical ideas that usually flow naturally were completely absent. Only after his sleep patterns normalized did his creative abilities return. The connection between dream sleep and mood disorders runs in both directions. People with depression and anxiety often show abnormal REM sleep patterns, either entering REM sleep too quickly or spending an unusual proportion of their sleep time in REM. Conversely, REM sleep disruption can trigger mood disturbances even in people without previous psychiatric issues. Studies examining dream content after periods of emotional stress show that dreams often incorporate elements of the stressful situation, but with variations that might help process the experience. Your brain seems to use dreams to replay emotional events with different outcomes or perspectives. Based on REM sleep deprivation studies and rare cases of fatal familial insomnia, complete dream loss would likely lead to severe cognitive decline, emotional instability, hallucinations, and eventually death. While short-term dream deprivation causes temporary problems that resolve with recovery sleep, complete long-term loss of dreaming appears incompatible with survival. The importance of dreaming becomes even clearer when we consider its evolutionary conservation. Nearly all mammals and birds show REM sleep, despite the vulnerability it creates. For a sleeping animal, the muscle paralysis of REM creates significant danger, temporarily preventing escape from predators. The fact that evolution has preserved this risky state across so many species suggests its functions must be absolutely essential. Let's pull all these strange pieces together. Every night, your conscious mind steps aside while your brain runs essential maintenance programs. This sleeping brain isn't inactive, it's working harder than you realize. It washes away toxic proteins through the lymphatic system. It strengthens connections for important memories while weakening irrelevant ones. It might even prepare you for potential threats through simulated experiences. Sleep operates as a different state of brain operation with complex functions, cycling through distinct stages that serve specific purposes in your neural maintenance. As you drift off tonight, consider the profound mystery unfolding within your mind. What secrets might your dreams unlock about your deepest thoughts and memories?